So, why should I go to church? Why are we doing different things that we do in church? What should I be doing in church? Again, what's the point? And I can't begin that journey unless I understand what it is to be a follower of Jesus, because that's the foundation for which I become a part of church and start participating in church. So what does it mean to be a believer? Now, last video, we talked about the need to admit that we are sinful. We see that in 1 John chapter 1, verse 8 and 9, that if we confess our sins, he's faithful and just to forgive us our sins. That's if we confess our sins. Now, there are other elements that begin to surface in the life of a believer. One is that we need to believe certain things about who Jesus is. John 3:16, many people know that verse, that if we that whosoever believes in him shall not perish but have everlasting life. Verse 17 says that if we don't believe, we are condemned, we are judged. So I have to believe in Jesus to be saved. But what is it that I need to believe about him? And in Matthew 16, we see a conversation with Jesus's disciples in which Jesus asked them who he was, what was his identity. And Peter gave the right answer and said, "You are the Christ, the Son of the living God." And Jesus said to him that Peter was blessed because the Father had revealed these truths to him, that Peter was now in a good place. Now Peter was the rock on whom the church was going to be built upon. We also see in the epistles 1st, 2nd, and 3rd John the expression of the idea that if we reject Jesus as having come in the flesh, then we're not in a right place with him. And so believing certain things about Jesus, that he is the Son of God, he is God in the flesh, he is man, he did live a sinless life, he did die on a cross and rise from the dead, he is the Lord. Those kind of things need to be there in our lives. Also, Matthew 7, Jesus depicts a judgment scene in which he gives this expression that those who are going to be cast out of his presence, the reason for that will be given is because I never knew you. That is, Jesus knows all of us, but some people he has a relationship with, an experiential relationship with, and others he does not. And so a part of this being a follower of Jesus is that I have this personal relationship with Jesus Christ. Then Romans 10 verse 9 says that if we confess with our mouth Jesus is Lord and believe in our hearts that God raised him from the dead, we shall be saved. You add to that, so if we admit that Jesus is Lord, he is authority, then I am saved. So it's not just believing in him, it's not just admitting I'm sinful, it's not just knowing him, but being surrendered to his authority. You can add to that James chapter 1 and chapter 2, which talks about faith without works is dead. So if I truly am in a right place with the Lord, I'm going to be doing the things that he tells me to do. Now, does this mean that I can earn my salvation if I make sure that I am confessing I'm sinful, believing the right things about Jesus, having a personal relationship with him, and surrendering to his authority? Now I get to be saved because I did those things, like a checklist? No. It's that if you are truly following Jesus, these things will surface in your life. You will just start to admit that you've failed and you things that you've done were sinful. You will just start to accept what you see as who Jesus is. You will just start to seek him and start to know him and experience him, and you will just surrender to what he wants you to do because you'll want to. These things will surface in your life if you are truly a follower of Jesus. Now, it doesn't mean you're going to be perfect, but these things will be there. And I want to remind you, like in the last video, it's not a matter of ignorance. It's really more a matter of acceptance versus rejection. So if you find out Jesus is God and you reject that, or you accept that, is a different scenario than you not knowing that he is God. So you can be a believer and possibly be ignorant of certain things, but if you are rejecting a number of things that typically are a part of following Jesus, then there's a question mark on whether or not you're a follower of Jesus. So just simply going to church, living a good life, believing in the existence of God, does not amount to being saved. It's whether or not things are demonstrating that you are that. But does that mean that works saves me? Next video, we'll talk about that as we wrap up the foundational parts of what it means to be saved, or am I saved, and how that works and faith linked together, and what is it that causes me to be saved. And then we'll start getting into the journey of what church is, what we should be doing, and I'm hoping that you will give me some feedback on that discussion. For now, we're just in the foundational stages, but if you could, so that I know that you're here on the journey, just give me a comment and say, hey, Pastor, I'm with you on this discussion. If you like the video or the series and would like to get other people to participate, then interacting with the videos will make the video be more visible. So if you would like the video, share it with others. Again, leave a comment that will make this video more visible. You could share it directly with people in Bethel to get them to be a part of the conversation. And then if you could, if you're on YouTube, just subscribe to the channel, hit the notification button, and if you're on Facebook, hit follow the Facebook page, and doing either of those will get you notified every time there are new videos. Let's continue to make sure that we're right with Jesus, and then go on to be a healthy church. See you soon.